In the previous chapter, no one could leave Egghead, as Nami's group was stopped by Saint Nosturo. Saint Mercury also started attacking Luffy and Bonnie. Meanwhile, the giant warrior ship was attacked by Saint Warcury, and the ancient robot Emeth punched him in the face, making everyone very excited. The battle with the five elders to escape Egghead entered a very tense stage. Can Luffy and his team safely leave? Welcome to the latest One Piece chapter 1120 and 1121 by the Devil Fruit OP channel. The chapter begins with a flashback 26 years ago at Vegapunk's research facility on Punk Hazard Island. At that time, Punk Hazard was a lush and vibrant island full of green trees. At the entrance to the research facility, Dr. Vegapunk and two dragons are talking to Professor Clover. Clover is an explorer passionate about uncovering the Void Century. He participated in many expeditions to find historical documents, despite the government's absolute ban on researching the Void Century. Clover's passion made him an idol among explorers, who followed him to his hometown of Ohara to begin their studies. The Navy imprisoned Clover 10 times, but he always escaped. Clover asked Vegapunk to help him in his research on the Void Century. Vegapunk refused, saying he was now working for the world government. Clover explained that someone with the D initial died right before his eyes, and it was his brother, which shocked Vegapunk. During his brother's murder, Clover had said they were just friends to save his own life. Clover spoke while crying. However, Vegapunk firmly refused to help Clover. Vegapunk said he would pretend he hadn't heard Clover's story. Clover was determined to continue his research, with or without Vegapunk's help. He vowed to uncover the secrets of the Void Century by deciphering ancient texts. 4 years later, 22 years ago, Vegapunk and Caesar received the devastating news that Ohara had been destroyed by a buster call. Caesar expressed a cruel wish to have witnessed the massacre, while Vegapunk was deeply pained. Vegapunk then crossed the sea to pay respects to Clover and the scholars of Ohara. Vegapunk cried while holding Robin's wanted poster in front of a lake, filled with books that the scholars had tried to protect before their deaths. This scene takes place before Vegapunk met Dragon in chapter 1066. Seeing the lake full of books, Vegapunk realized that Professor Clover and his colleagues had sacrificed themselves to preserve these historical documents. They refused the chance to escape to pass on their knowledge to future generations. The death of Professor Clover and the historians deeply moved Vegapunk, prompting him to delve into the Void Century. The more he studied the documents, the more he understood Clover's words, that the Void Century was not just history, but also related to science, technology, and eternal energy, something Vegapunk eagerly wanted to explore. In the next part of his speech, Vegapunk said, "History is written by the victors, while the voices of the defeated are buried deep under the ocean. But the sacrifices made have given me the determination to reveal some of these hidden truths to the world. I hope my message is still being broadcast clearly. We should examine the past thoroughly from all possible perspectives to determine who was right and who was wrong. I wish I had more time, but some things cannot be stopped." 25 years ago, Roger successfully circumnavigated the globe, a feat unprecedented. I'm sure they knew the entire history. They pieced together history from the poneglyphs. The third detail. Atlas sacrificed herself to help the Thousand Sunny take off. Zoro returned to the ship and was angry to see everyone still there, even though he told them to go ahead and he and Jinbei would follow. Lilith strongly opposed because she believed the ship could only fly 1 kilometer, and even a small mistake could crash them to the ground. She used many complicated formulas to prove her point. They didn't know what to do until Atlas suddenly appeared, knocked out Lilith, and shut down the device on her head, asking the Straw Hats to take care of her. Atlas ensured the Straw Hats' safe takeoff, which calmed Zoro down. This was Atlas's plan with Lilith. She intended to sacrifice herself to help them escape. First Slash cut off her left arm, but she continued to hold on to the 5 elders and activated 4 boosters to push Luffy away. In the moment of flight, Nosturo was caught off guard. After the Straw Hats were safe, Atlas let go, choosing to sacrifice herself by exploding, creating a shockwave to propel the Thousand Sunny farther and injuring Nosturo seriously. Usopp and Chopper cried in grief, while York laughed, knowing she was the last remaining Vegapunk. Under the Egghead beach, Luffy was still excited about the epic fight of the robot Emeth. Emeth called Luffy Joy Boy and was happy to meet him again. Luffy, confused, looked around, not realizing who was talking to him, which embarrassed Emeth. Emeth told Luffy to move forward without worry, as his enemies were also Emeth's. Emeth was glad to fight for Luffy again, calling him Joy Boy. The ancient robot spoke to Luffy in the language of all things, so only the Straw Hats could hear it. This allowed Luffy to return safely to the giant warrior ship. Luffy was unsure if Emeth was his friend because the ancient robot only wanted to protect Joy Boy, and Luffy didn't know he was the new Joy Boy. The giant warrior pirates were temporarily not attacked by the five elders but were still bombarded by the navy. Brogy and Dory ordered the crew to prepare to set sail. Brogy asked Luffy if Emeth was also their ally. Luffy replied, "It said it would protect someone named Joy Boy. Do you know who that is?" Brogy was surprised that the ancient robot could speak, while he hadn't heard anything. Without Luffy's support, Emeth had to face two five elders alone. When Jupiter attacked, Emeth raised its left fist as if to activate a weapon, exciting both Sanji and Frankie. However, after 900 years, Emeth's system was no longer functioning smoothly. Despite its efforts, its left arm couldn't operate, and Jupiter destroyed it. Emeth had to use its right hand to block Jupiter's mouth. Jupiter bit into Emeth's body, eating one of its arms. Emeth used its remaining hand to hold Jupiter back. Suddenly, Saturn climbed over Jupiter and headed straight for the giant warrior pirate's ship, aiming for Kuma and Bonnie. He clung to the ship's bow, looking rather pitiful. After Atlas's death, the five elders thought they had destroyed all Vegapunk except York, not knowing Lilith was still alive. They shifted their focus to destroying the control center to stop the broadcast and prevent the Straw Hats from escaping. As Warcury and Jupiter charged, the ancient robot stood tall. Knowing its body was ravaged by time and couldn't operate its weapons, Emeth wondered if this was the moment Joy Boy spoke of. The Thousand Sunny was now flying away from the Leibafei's research level, and Sanji saw them from the giant warrior pirate's ship. Fourth detail, Vegapunk's revelation about the Pirate King. Vegapunk's message continued. He wished for more time to continue his research, but he knew others were pursuing it and couldn't be stopped. 25 years ago, pirate Gol D. Roger and his crew completed a world tour, setting an unprecedented record. With this message, prisoners at Impel Down were shocked by the name Gol D. Roger, not Gold Roger. In Chapter 1121, off the coast of Egghead, Saint Saturn attacked Kuma and Bonnie with his venomous foot. The giant warrior pirates immediately formed a shield to block him. Luffy observed and saw Bonnie, though exhausted, trying to transform into Nika and stand up. Luffy launched a punch to support Bonnie, but didn't knock Saint Saturn away. Vegapunk's message continued, indicating the end of his speech. Vegapunk believed that a tragedy similar to the Void Century was imminent and unavoidable, as the weapons that caused that disaster still existed intentionally in the current world. The lineages of races erased from history, including the Buccaneers, Lunarians, and Three-Eyed Tribe, still existed. Saint Saturn continued to attack Bonnie, but each blow was blocked by Luffy. Bonnie was furious about everything Saturn had done to her parents. Dentumaru and Kizaru made brief appearances, with Kizaru still lying on the ship's deck. Bonnie remembered Kuma talking about Nika, and crying, shouted at Saint Saturn that the god Nika would come to save everyone oppressed by the world government. Saturn showed disdain and ignored her words. Luffy and Bonnie prepared to combine their attacks on Saint Saturn. Their joint move, Nika's Punch of Freedom, saw Bonnie punch Saturn in the face, while Luffy repeatedly punched his body. Saturn was knocked into the sea, full of holes from the punches. The giant warrior pirates cheered at Luffy and Bonnie's victory, and Kuma seemed to smile. The Thousand Sunny safely landed next to the giant warrior pirate's ship. Vegapunk's message continued, saying the deaths of legends like Roger and Whitebeard marked the beginning of a new era, with people who couldn't be stopped and who would come very soon. He referenced names like Dragon, Luffy, Shanks, Buggy, Blackbeard, and others. Vegapunk also revealed his goal to create new technology using green blood to protect the future. The message ended with Vegapunk apologizing for being unable to fully explain his findings due to the time constraints. Saint Saturn climbed back on board, trying to escape but was pulled back by Luffy's gear. The Straw Hats, now aware of the dangers ahead, prepared to leave Egghead Island, knowing the secrets they uncovered would change the world forever. Thank you for watching the analysis of One Piece Chapter 1120 and 1121. Please like and subscribe to the channel for more exciting updates. Stay tuned for the next chapter analysis of One Piece. Goodbye.